Welcome, witches, wizards, and muggles alike, to another enchanting episode of Magical Tales from the Slytherin Common Room, bringing your favorite Harry Potter fanfiction to audio format. So sit back, relax, and Accio headphones and let the magic begin.
Two Weddings and a Manhunt by Deydralinne, Chapter 12, August 8th, 2003. I've got to hand it to you, Granger. It's impressive that you've managed to fully furnish this place overnight. Draco looked around him at the penthouse, now with every room fully furnished and decorated. It didn't even feel as though they had only brought it yesterday. There wasn't a single box in sight. Art lined the walls, occasionally with the odd photo frame of him and his mother or his friends, or Hermione and her parents or her friends, displayed amongst it. Books lined the bookshelves in the office. Even comforting throw rugs and cushions placed along the couch or on the armchair of the living room area provided a coziness that he had not anticipated. His wardrobe was already fully stocked with his clothes from the manor. Hermione had shown him what would be his mother's room when she came to stay. She had said it wouldn't be as elegant as the one in the manor, but Draco knew his mother would love it. She had perfectly captured his mother's tastes. Thank you. I was told once by someone very wise that anything can be fast-tracked if you throw enough money at it. She smirked from her spot in the kitchen, where she stood assembling a platter of food. On the bench sat a stack of war games from Hermione's studio. Any minute now, their friends would start arriving. He would be lying if he said he wasn't nervous. It would be the first time that Draco would be encountering her friends since their ill-advised elopement. It would also be the first time that a group of Slytherins willingly spent several hours in the same space as a group of Gryffindors, possibly ever. Draco, would you relax? It will be fine. We're all adults. We all moved on. We're not in school anymore, fighting on opposite sides of the war. Take a breath and hand me that bag, would you? Hermione seemed to pick up on his mood without him even saying anything. He grabbed the paper bag from the bar stool and moved toward the fridge. Want these in the icebox thing? He asked. Hermione hummed in agreement. He was unloading the last bottle of something called vodka into the fridge when there was a knock at the door. He looked around, but he couldn't see Hermione. Get that, would you? Her voice called from the balcony above him. He took a deep breath and opened the door to reveal not one redhead, but two. Harry, Ginny, Ron, and Luna all stood in the doorway, somewhat surprised to see Draco on the other side of it. Ginny seemed amused and brushed past him without invitation. Draco promptly stepped back into the apartment, holding the door open for the others to enter. Granger, it's your lot, he called out. Hermione bustled out to the balcony and grinned down at them with a smile as she tried to shove an earring through one of her earlobes. Oh, hey guys, I'll be down in a minute. And with that, she disappeared again, leaving the three men to stand awkwardly, looking at one another. Ginny stepped into the living area, a low whistle rushing past her lips as she looked up at how high the ceiling was in that part of the penthouse. Luna, who had not seemed to change much at all since school, trailed over slowly toward the female redhead, looking around with a dreamy expression. Can I get anyone a drink? Draco offered, relieved when both nodded. He walked back to the fridge and pulled out 3 beers, holding them up to the men standing awkwardly at the kitchen counter for approval. Both nodded, and he absently handed them each one. Weaslette, he held up a beer to her. She turned with a grin on her face. I'll make you a deal. Don't ever call me that again, and I won't call you Ferret. Besides, it's Potter now. Draco nodded as she stepped closer. Okay, Potterette, would you like a beer? He held up the beer again. Harry sighed beside him, but looked up surprised when Ginny started laughing. She nodded and accepted the bottle. Luna, do you want a drink? Draco called to the blonde, staring at a blank space on the wall. Luna? Harry raised an eyebrow. Draco looked at him and shrugged. Luna and I were friends at school, as far as I'm aware. Y'all still hate me. Ron choked on his beer. Wait, what? You were friends with my wife? Draco smiled politely. Wasn't everyone? He knew full well that both Ron and Hermione had thought she was barmy to start with, but the fellow blonde had never been anything but kind to him during their time at Hogwarts. He had tried to repay the kindness by sneaking her food and blankets when she had been held prisoner at his manor. He had even been trying to figure out a way to get her out of there, but then Dobby had managed to rescue her anyway. No, thank you, Draco, her sing-song voice called back. Another knock at the door felt like a relief, and Draco excused himself to answer it. Theo stood with his arms out, a bottle of fire whiskey in one hand and a grin on his face. There he is, Mr. Domesticated. Sweet place, man. Draco rolled his eyes. Theo, you remember the boy who lived, Harry Potter, Ginny, Ron, and of course Luna. I'm the only one who gets the title in that, huh? Harry smirked. What was it you said to me in 4th year, Harry? You are the chosen one, Hermione teased as she finally reappeared. Theo, I hope you don't have any portkeys this time with plans to kidnap us, she joked as she stepped forward and offered him a hug. Well, to be fair, I didn't exactly plan to take you last time. It was a spur-of-the-moment decision, something I'm sure you and Draco understand, he poked back. Hermione laughed despite the grumblings coming from Ron and Harry and a scowl on Draco's face. Another knock announced Greg. Several moments later, it was Blaise and Astoria, and much to Theo's utter delight and her horror, Daphne. Draco and Hermione both tried and failed to hide chuckles. Ginny shot Hermione a questioning look, to which Hermione mouthed back, "We'll see." The following half an hour consisted of a tour of the penthouse, providing everyone with drinks and ice-breaking chit-chat. Draco was pleased that at the time no one had hexed anyone, and if anything, everyone seemed to be getting along rather well. Perhaps a little too well. Blaise was chatting away to Harry as if they'd been friends forever about the latest broom model, the Thunderstorm 3000. Ron, Greg, and Theo were all prattling about Quidditch, and Astoria, Daphne, Luna, and Ginny were gossiping about something that Draco couldn't quite follow. He surmised it was to do with makeup at least. Hermione prodded him on the shoulder. "You okay?" she mouthed. He just nodded. It was a surreal feeling to find himself in this position. Even more surreal to find he didn't hate it. It just seemed to be any typical other night. "Should we start a game?" Hermione announced, holding up a box called Cluedo. The rules, it turns out, were fairly simple. Hermione had charmed the game tokens so that instead of the various color-titled characters, there were miniature versions of themselves standing along the edge of the board. "Throwing the murder elephant out there early, Granger. It's a hell of a way to clear the air," Greg smirked. "Malfoy," Theo said, almost instinctively at this point. Theo, Hermione, Draco, Astoria, and Blaise all growled at the same time, causing Ginny to chuckle into her drink. "What I don't understand is how this happened in the first place," Harry pointed between Draco and Hermione. "Mate, your guess is as good as the rest of ours," Greg mumbled. "No one has any memory of that night. Seriously?" Daphne asked. A chorus of no's ensued. It was a bizarre experience to watch a half-inch-sized version of himself slink around the manor trying to find evidence. Luna didn't even seem to be interested in the clues. She'd simply floated from room to room, commenting how nice the decor was in each room, or how the plants were infested with certain creatures only she and her representation could see. "Theo, you're cheating. You need to count the squares out properly," Daphne snapped at him. Ginny bolted upright. "I think I know." "Okay, Ginny. Well, take a guess then, and if it's wrong, you can't tell anyone and you're out of the game." Hermione handed over a miniature envelope with the answers in it. Ginny looked hesitant. Shaking the doubt, she declared, "I think it was Blaise in the kitchen with the rope." Ginny's miniature self pointed a flashlight at Blaise's character, blinding the small man. "Sure, blame the Slytherins," Theo joked. Astoria threw a cushion at him. Ginny winked in good humor, though, stood and secretly peeked inside the envelope. "Damn it!" she exclaimed, and her character dejectedly went to sit on a couch placed in the game's sitting room. Greg guessed next. Theo in the kitchen with the wrench, which was incorrect. Ron guessed Ginny in the billiard room with the candlestick. Wrong again. The game took an interesting turn when, while exploring the study, Theo's character found himself surrounded by Blaise, Astoria, and Hermione's miniatures, all of which held miniature weapons in their hands. "Oh, hey guys, are we having a party in the study?" Theo laughed, but then the house flashed dark, and when it came to light again, Theo's miniature was lying in a pool of imaginary blood. The other three all covered in blood and eyeing up the real Theo, who stared wide-eyed down at the board. Harry, Daphne, and Ron burst into laughter. Hermione had a proud smirk on her face. I did say I would kill you, she shrugged. That is brilliant. Can you revive him and give me a go? Ginny giggled, leaning forward to look. It wasn't until everyone else in the room had a turn to kill the fake Theo while in hysterics that Luna spoke up. I think it was Harry in the kitchen with the candlestick. Turned out she was right. Apparently, the Wacklespurts had witnessed the whole thing. Thought you were supposed to be the good guy, Draco joked, feeling far more comfortable than he had expected to. Well, what can I say? Maybe I got sick of it. Harry smiled back. Oh, let's play Twister next, Sawyer chirped up. They had all had several drinks, which of course made for hilarious times. That is, until Theo put his foot under Daphne and after twisting the other way, knocked her over. She stormed off down the hall, slamming the door to the guest room. Theo had the nerve to grin at everyone before going to apologize. Luna, honey, your left hand needs to go on blue, not green, Ron gently prompted her. Draco chuckled. It's okay. Hermione's the judge and she can't tell the difference between the two anyway, he teased. Oh, for Merlin's sake, Malfoy, it's freaking blue, Hermione called out in frustration. What's this? Ron threw Draco's way. You've been to Hermione's studio. She is convinced that the walls around the bathroom are blue. He gave a pointed look in her direction. Would you lot back me up, please? Hermione cried out. Ginny coughed awkwardly and looked away. Ron just stared. Hermione, I would love to do that, except that they are green. I never thought I would say this, but Malfoy's right, Harry said regrettably. Greg burst out laughing, which caused the whole group to shift, lose footing, and collapse in a pile. You're not serious, Hermione screeched, looking at Ron and Ginny, who both gave her similar looks. Her eyes narrowed on Draco. She was clearly about to say something, but stopped. Down the hall was a light but consistent knocking sound. Hermione tilted her head, everyone's eyes looking toward the sound. Is that? Blaise started. The knocking started getting louder and faster. A muffled moan sent them all over the edge into fits of laughter. Oh, ew, Theo! Hermione groaned, sharing the same look as what Draco had.